You are called for much more than this. You don't have to be content where you are now. You don't have to be content. You don't have to worry about how you were in the past. But right now is your chance to change. Right now is your chance to go forward in the future for what God has for you. There's a special calling on your life. Right now, in my life right now, I've been living here in Japan for the past 3 years, and this thought always comes to my mind. Always like, Lord, what's the calling on my life? What should I do next? Where should I go from here? In very rare circumstances, the Lord will very clearly tell someone, "We're called to do this," very clearly with with the vocal word. But I believe really for most, it's not like that. But in our hearts, the Lord has given us passions. He's given us desires, and those are really from Him. And those are ways that we can find the calling that He has for us. Maybe you can find your calling as well just from something that really touched your heart. One of my friends, when we lived in India, we were working with the slum children. And when he saw all these kids, it broke his heart. And he knew, my calling is for these kids in the slum of India. He knew it. It was so clear. But for me, I didn't have the same feeling. Of course, I felt sad and I felt emotion seeing them, but I didn't have that same burden. I didn't have that same calling that he had. And that's what everyone's calling is different. What's yours? What is something that when you look at it, it gives you a burden, something heavy on your heart? What can it be? Maybe it's when you see some injustice in the world. Maybe it's when you think of doing some type of activity, maybe like some sports or writing or some music. It can really be anything, because God can use anyone. God can use anything. And so I really encourage you, try to think, just take some time, sit down and think, what are some things that I really enjoy doing? What are some things that are really just touching my heart when I think about it? And I believe that can help you find the calling that the Lord has for you. And of course, do everything with prayer. You just say, God, what is it? But really go to God to prayer with it. And if there's some people around you, some nice older men that you trust, or another older woman that you trust, talk with them, get their wisdom. There's so much wisdom from the elderly. And many times we ignore the elderly people, and their life just passes on by in a chair or with a cane somewhere. But the Lord desires for everyone to follow the calling that He has for them. And that could be anywhere in the world. And think about the desires and the passions that you have in your life. And whatever calling that you receive, go for it with 100%. Do everything you can to obey that calling, to follow that calling. Don't be lazy. Don't be stagnant. Don't procrastinate. When you feel it and you know it, do it. Don't be lazy with it. And also about passions, when you have the calling or when you feel you have the passion and drive for your life, you don't need to tell every single person about it. You don't have to do that, because there are people who are so content in their procrastination, who are so content just being where they are, that they will naturally bring you down to their level because they're not happy where they are. So they want to bring you where they are. I encourage you, if you feel the passion and the calling that God has for you, and what you want to do and where you want to go, you don't have to tell everyone. Keep it to yourself. Maybe tell some close friends, but really work hard at it. All right? Do your best. See you later.